How do you like them Franco Colapintos, eh? It's a bit techie, this subject, you know. All of a sudden it feels like Formula One has done an about turn. Again, 24 months previous, they would never have given the keys to the city to somebody so young and inexperienced as Franco Colapinto. But it feels all of a sudden like there is a movement happening as far as the story arc of rookies in Formula One. The revolution will be televised, for we will see it next year. It will be told by Antonelli, it will be told by Colapinto, so too Behrman and Jack Doohan. It's getting techie, this. All of a sudden it is different, but I think the Colapinto story sticks out to me. You guys know me. I'm invested not in greatness when it is great, but the journey to greatness. Lewis Hamilton's story is brilliant in 2014, but I was more invested in 2006 and 7 when we didn't know whether Sir Lewis, Carl Davidson Hamilton was going to make his first jump. Max Verstappen, the same thing. 2020, 21. Did he have what it takes? Does he have the mental fortitude, the resilience to hold off a charging Sir Lewis Hamilton? GOAT settings, one of the greatest pedals that we've ever seen. That uncertainty is always what's turned me on. Colapinto, again, poses a very similar problem, doesn't he? James Vowles, on a podcast recently with Tom Clarkson, Beyond the Grid, has spoken to the dilemma, the automotive pugilistic problem that Franco Colapinto and his uncharacteristic readiness has posed the team principal of Williams. Techie this. Said a couple of things that were really telling that I think are worthy of mention. First and foremost, Tom Clarkson asked him about Carlos Sainz Jr. and in his flirtation with Williams team principal. We all know that Carlos Sainz, as his first priority order, would have seen himself at a Red Bull team or a Mercedes. Why? Because he hasn't got time to waste, Carlos, and he's a very savvy racing mind. He'll be acutely aware of the fact that Williams aren't going to win any races over the next 24 to 36 months at the very minimum. And so why did he end up at Williams? And why did James Vowles make that decision? Again, he spoke about Carlos Sainz, that Carlos Sainz needed to have the time to understand that he could give 100% of his time to Williams. Well, how about this? Tom Clarkson says, I will see you that and raise you this. If you'd seen Franco Colapinto over the last 3 races at the Italian Grand Prix, Azerbaijan and Singapore, if you'd had time to see the not insubstantial upside and potential of this Argentinian before you signed Carlos Sainz Jr., would you still have signed Carlos Sainz? Would you not have said, listen, you know what, mate, you're a brilliant driver, but you're older, you have less time and years left in F1 than Colapinto, and your potential upside is less than Colapinto. Why don't you go and drive for Audi? Therefore, isn't that what you would have said, James Vowles? James Vowles, his answer tells a story. He doesn't answer. He doesn't say that's what we would have done or that's what we wouldn't have done. He dances around the subject, which makes me think that abso-flipping-lutely, had he known about Colapinto and his ability to deliver so quickly in his F1 career, of course, he would have had to do a cheeky cost-benefit analysis, understand the millions upon millions that they're paying Carlos Sainz, and they would have had to pay Colapinto a fraction of that to get not dissimilar results. This, ladies and gentlemen, is different. Tom Clarkson talks about Franco Colapinto, how he has the look and feel of a champion. He says at the very first press conference that he saw Franco Colapinto hold court, that he had that aplomb and he was able to hold court even, that he looked and he felt right. Put his feet up on the settee, looked like he was about to crack out a cigar, a cheeky Cohiba. That's how relaxed and comfortable he was in that circumstance. And that speaks to his ability to manage and conduct for the automotive pugilism Rubik's Cube that's posed to each one of these F1 drivers in real time. You need to be able to leverage composure. If you don't have it, then you are doomed to fail. And this is Franco Colapinto's bag. He has it in abundance, says Tom Clarkson. And again, as your Exhibit A, you only need to look at Singapore. You've got Alex Albon on the radio after having dominated Logan Sargent, never having lost a qualifying session to Logan for as long as Logan's been in that Williams. All of a sudden, this is a very different circumstance having Franco Colapinto in there. Oh, and by the way, before I continue on this, Franco Colapinto in F2 is currently 7th behind Antonelli, behind Crawford, behind Aaron, behind Maloney, behind Hajar and behind Bartoletto. What does this mean? This means that there are very many young, hungry drivers ready to slot into an F1 seat. Ergo, things are very different now as far as the competitive landscape for juniors, rookies in F2. They need to give them the opportunity. Why? Because look how Franco Colapinto is performing in real time. 3 races under his belt and handing Alex Albon veteran settings, his ASS to him. What are you talking about, Cameron? Well, there have been 3 qualifying sessions and Colapinto has nailed Alex Albon in one of them. This is his first 3 races in Formula 1 for Pete's sake. So you can only imagine if you extrapolate out for that learning curve, what's he going to be like in race 12 or race 36? That dude's only going to get more experienced and be better. You would imagine, therefore, that he would be handing Alex Albon's ASS to him much more than he is now. 1 of 3, and it would be 2 of 3, but for a cheeky DRS reliability issue. Techie, eh? And then even you want to look at the race. Remember, James Vowles on the Beyond the Grid podcast says his only problem with Colapinto, not that he wasn't quick in the sim, because he was every millisecond as quick as Alex Albon in the sim, but whether there would be a correlation issue, because we know that the sim is one thing, but how does that translate? Every man and their dog can be quick in the sim, but when you get onto the track in real, how's that going to work out then, especially as far as these young, hungry lions in F2 are concerned? You saw Hajar in free practice earlier this year. He has been a contender for the F2 championship, and something didn't quite click when he got in the F1 car. For this chap, though, the Argentinian, the man behind whom Argentina will be rooting, behind whom there will be an industry of sponsors rooting for this chap in Argentina, no less. The home of Carlos Reutemann. Do you know what I mean? It's going to get techie. The home of Juan Manuel Fangio. This dude, again, Dr. Water settings, pulled the move up the inside of Alex Albon like it was nothing, reminiscent of Lewis Hamilton, turn 1, Adelaide, race 1, lap 1 on Fernando Plan Alonso, and that of course bodes well for the Argentinian. Alex Albon reacted thus, what is that chap doing? This doesn't make sense. James Vowles said that he was frustrated was the Anglo tie, not necessarily at the manoeuvre when he watched it back in retrospect, but at the lack of performance that they had at Singapore. I would contend differently, however, Sir James Vowles. I think Alex Albon was shocked that all of a sudden he's got a teammate as racy as Franco Colapinto, in stark contrast to the sleeping policeman that was his previous iteration of teammate, one Logan Sargent. Adaptability too. I was listening to Alex Jakes on a podcast saying that around these rookies, all that they're concerned with is their ability to adapt quickly. And again, Franco Colapinto, his tenure over the past 3 races has been epitomised by that. His ability to narrow, to expedite for the payback period. You don't want to give these rookies 12, 24 months and still not see signs of life. He's given you signs of life that he could be a good, if not great one, in 3 races. Italy, Azerbaijan and Singapore. Alex Jakes said this about the rookies. Oscar Piastri is giving you the blueprint. No longer you're looking for the last of the late breakers as far as one skill that a rookie has 10 in. What these guys need to be is an 8 across the board. 8 as far as braking, 8 as far as race management, 8 as far as racecraft and pace in absolute terms, 8 as far as all of, they need to be adaptable and they need to have that average level-headed stuff across all of the different skill sets requisite to win a race. Oscar Piastri has set out that blueprint and Franco Colapinto has shown you that he's measuring up to that benchmark. This is going to get techie. Franco Colapinto is a whirling dervish. He's a force of nature as far as his momentum going forward. So too are all the other rookies. Lest we forget, for the avoidance of doubt, that if you're going to do the F1 maths, remember, Franco Colapinto currently sat 7th in F2. Ergo, there are 6 drivers better than him in Bortoletto, Hajar, Maloney, Port Aaron, Crawford, and Andrea Kimi Antonelli. This bodes well, does it not? Ollie Behrman, by the way, who's also secured himself a drive for next year and not performed too badly himself this year when given the opportunity, sits adrift 110 points of the lead in F2, all the way back in 15th. Listen to me. As far as young drivers in Formula 1, Franco Colapinto sits atop of those hot prospects, those with not insubstantial potential. The revolution, as far as rookies are concerned in Formula 1, this time it will be televised, and I can't wait to see it in 2025. Vamos, Franco Colapinto. But I digress.